Hi everybody, welcome to G4G here on YouTube. Today we're talking about Saviors of the Multiverse, aka the rebirth of Marvel Avengers Alliance. Wanted to touch base with everybody and kind of get back on track with getting you guys some updates. Kind of have to let time go by a little bit there because you don't want to oversaturate the market talking about this game, which might never be. And, you know, we need stuff to build up so that I actually have content for a video to talk about. Today's background music is brought to you by Keith Medley, Ancestors, and his 27-string guitar, which is kind of like a harp guitar, but kind of not. Really, really cool song. If you're a guitarist, check this song out. And this device that he has, absolutely amazing, beautiful sound. Anyway, so what are we going to talk about today? Well, I won't do the suspense thing with you guys. I won't sit here and say, oh, I'll talk about the most important thing, but you got to watch the video. I'll tell you straight up, the intended release date of Saviors of the Multiverse, or SOM, is going to be during the US release of Marvel Avengers Infinity Wars. So we're looking at the beginning of May. That's what GLB said. Gaming Life Beginner. Now, again, as I've always been in these videos, I like to think I'm fair. And I like to walk the fine line between hope that this game that we love so much would come back, and let's be realistic, it might never happen. But there is some good news in this video to talk about, and there's one piece of bad news. I'll get the piece of bad news out of the way. I haven't seen anything in the Multiverse Saviors Discord in some time that GLB is aware of how things are going and commenting. Around the turn of the year, GLB had been in contact with one or two members of the Discord over here. I think it was Mercury or Maximus. Could be Maximus or Mercury. It might have been Maximus. And he was having some conversations with them. Maximus was kind of telling him what things had been happening and everything like that. And GLB was answering some community questions and giving some input on what he's seen so far. I haven't seen that in a little while. So that's kind of the one bad news that I've seen over here, is that I really haven't heard much of GLB related things in a while. The good news is, you might not see it over here in the user count, but this Discord has actually been pretty bopping lately. And the activity in the Discord has increased quite a bit since the new year. Why is that happening? I don't know. I don't want to claim credit, but a lot of people that have been watching my videos have said, hey, can I get the Discord link? And I've given it to them, and I think the activity has gone up from there, which is good in a couple ways. Again, I don't want to say that it's me, because I don't know that it's me. I don't have any stats. Nobody's like, hey, Napalm, it's me from the video, blah, blah, blah. But there's been a lot of people who've asked to come in, and there's been a lot more activity, a lot more discussion, and there hasn't been a lot of lurking, like where people get in, they just kind of watch what's going on. People have been active and contributing, and what has been a heavy contributing thing here has been sprite work. Now, prior to this burst of people doing stuff in the Discord, mostly the artists, Red Fred, and another guy who's temporarily away, I think his name began with a P. I'll find out in a moment. We can find out pretty quickly. Pedro something? They've mostly been working on Heroes, but a guy who joined recently with Crane in his name, he started doing the enemies and the villains, and now just recently the background work was getting done, like the fighting arenas and everything. So there's been a lot of asset work here. So, who's up, Nardo? Who's up for programming the game? And they're saying, I don't know who this Nardo guy is. He's kind of new. Royalty. Oh, and music. Yeah, so that's another big thing. And I just wanted to share a couple things. So, if you caught my last video, and I need to reference it here, there was a campaign similar to Saviors of the Multiverse, a campaign to save Marvel Heroes, and the guy was, or the company was saying $450,000 in a Indiegogo campaign, kind of like Kickstarter. If saying, you know, if we get the 450K, we can try to pull Marvel Heroes out of the dustbin because of a new situation that's going into effect with the DMCA. The DMCA is the Digital Millennial Copyright Act. And the DMCA in March is going to be talking about abandoned MMOs and how easily, I'm not going to say like public domain, but how easily they can be accessed by not the original people and like redone. We've seen this recently with Dragon's Prophet coming back as, I forget what it's like. I forget the name of it, but it's been tempting for me to go and review it because I played Dragon's Prophet way back like during the Mists of Pandaria era of World of Warcraft, so 2013-ish? I think it was the summer of 2013. Yes. It was the summer of 2013 because I had just gotten a new job and I was on an 8 o'clock shift, not 9, and I wasn't staying up as late. Yeah. So Dragon's Prophet died and then came back recently as a different game. I forget the name of it, but I've been tempted to go and try and find it and see what it's like, because the whole dragon taming / riding / having it as a pet was interesting. But anyway, I read an article that this Paragon Institute that was trying to crowdfund the Marvel Heroes Rebirth is probably a scam. People have tracked down the physical address of the Paragon Institute to a residential district of Cary, North Carolina. Now, I live in Raleigh. Cary is right around the corner from me, and Cary is legitimately home to several software companies, including Epic. As a matter of fact, on topic, several of the scenes in Iron Man 3 were not only filmed in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is called Hollywood East, but they were also filmed at Epic's headquarters in Cary, North Carolina. However, when you look at the address for this Paragon Institute, it's a house. Like, if you go on Google Maps, it's a court, and not in, I mean, a kind of average southern area. It's not particularly nice, it's not particularly run down, it's just kind of average. But the point of it is, the takeaway, is that this DMCA could make it easier for us to develop on this game and maybe have to hide less of it. Because Marvel Avengers Alliance was classified as an MMO. It was an, it was an RPG. It was massively multiplayer. It was online. There is the potential that this DMCA change could really open the door to us not ever being worried about being popped by Disney or Playdom. Now, granted, there is a huge amount of work in trying to change the backgrounds, the heroes, the villains, the characters, so as not to hit copyright issues. Is that work going to all be in vain if this DMCA thing changes? Not necessarily, because now there's a more personal stamp on the game. And GLB has always said, I'm going to tell you how to change the game back to the way it was anyway, so if you want to name Cable, and not whatever name he gets released as, Biomechanical Future Man. I'm not saying that's the name of him right now, but, Deadpool could be Regenerating Cancer Head. I don't know what the names are going to be, but he said that he will make instructions on how to change everything back to the way it was. Simple text editing. We may not even have to really go that far anymore, but hey, you know what? If we're that far along in that work, I think we should ride it out, even if the DMCA does start protecting us rather than hindering us. So, a couple things I want to point out over here. Red Fred has said when the updates are released, we can download its files and add to each section. For example, a new SO comes out. For example, there are 28 in the SO file in game directory. The one you downloaded will be SO29, so you add this to the SO folder in the already existing game directory. Some of you might think, hey, that sounds familiar. It sounds like doing World of Warcraft add-ons, or when people did Fallout add-ons, or more importantly, Skyrim add-ons. I never really modded my Skyrim that much, but people who really got into Skyrim know that they had that Nexus launcher, and sometimes add-ons would conflict with each other, and you had to sort out the conflict. So, if you're familiar with add-ons for RPGs like World of Warcraft, Fallout, and Skyrim, and WildStar, this shit's gonna be old hat to you. Like, it's gonna be very easy to figure this stuff out. You're just gonna download Spec Ops 29 and dump it into the game directory, and then when you load the game up, again, like, it'll be there. So, that's kind of how this will go. This might contain weapons, heroes, costumes of that Spec Ops. Same might be for the PvP season, or the game directory will have individual folders for stuff. Let's see. Kind of like mods, so even Red Fred even says it there. And he's saying it's a setup method a lot of fan games use. So people are asking what he's been coding it in. GLB has claimed he's coding it in HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, SQL, JSON, and AJAX. It sounds like an awful lot. That sort of concerns me, and then it sounds like an awful lot of languages for a game that previously was just Flash. Like the HTML5, the JavaScript, and the CSS I can imagine. PHP would kind of be page layout. SQL would be the databasing. I don't know JSON and AJAX as much. I have to check with Girlfriend on that one, see what she says. Where are the game files stored? Whatever directory you want. Patch notes, please. So now I want to show you the art that's been getting worked on and everything. I believe... not ideas. This is where people... So in ideas, a lot of people have been talking about what they want to see for A ISOs and E ISOs. Crow Crane Eagle. This guy is one of the guys here that was doing some of the artwork stuff. So I believe development is where all that is. Not a whole lot going on in translation. If anybody is a multilingual person, you may want to try to get into this Discord and go into translation and offer to translate from English to a native language. Okay, here are the musics. So Red Fred has been posting some music that is, you know, no copyright sounds and everything, because people were kind of complaining that they got over hearing the same Avengers music over and over again in the years that they played the game. In all honesty, past a certain point, I had the music off. So I share that opinion, but not nearly as much, because I had turned it off years before the game ended. I will say, and I think a lot of you might agree with me if you've been playing other Marvel games, Marvel music across the games has a definite theme to it. Like when you play Future Fight, and you played MAA, and even Strike Force, but maybe not COC, there is a certain theme to the music that you just know. I know I'm listening to Avengers music when I hear it, even if it's not coming from MAA. So having these, which I haven't listened to yet, I don't know how much I would like. But okay, here's some of the artwork that's being done. So Pedro and Red Fred 124 are the guys who were really doing a lot of the hero work, and Crow Crane Eagle was doing the villains and the mobs. So there's an example of what we're doing, or what people are doing for the recolors and everything. So Mandarin, purple pants, body's the same. Here's what it's like to do subcomponents of sprites. So you'll see like wing pieces here. These are subcomponents of the sprites that are used in animating. So these people are doing a lot of work. Like here's a mindless one. You have to break it apart into all of its movable elements and reskin it. Kind of looks like Juggernaut when you see it like this. More mindless ones. Here's Toad. So here's a recolored Toad. Now, most of these... Here's Black Widow. I definitely recognize Snap Kick over there. As you can see, it's recognizable as Black Widow, but she's been reskinned to avoid the copyright issues. Here are some potential new sprites. So there's an ancient one. Movie Mordo. Celsius. Doctor Strange in the movie costume. Let's see if we can see some of the backgrounds, because the backgrounds are what's interesting. Here's some of the costumes that they've been talking about, like Civil War ones, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Homecoming, Iron Spider, Elektra out of Daredevil, Electrical Defenders. Ooh, nice picture of Magic. That's a good picture of Magic. I always liked her so much in Avengers Alliance, but I really liked her in Marvel Heroes. A possible new Dormammu, although... No offense, I think his head kind of looks like a Big Mac that's on fire. It looks a little too big. I think it needs to be shrunk. Nice Iron Spider there. Let's see if I can find the backgrounds. Here we go. Okay. So here are some of the reworked backgrounds. And I mean, does this not give you a nostalgia trip? Just looking at some of these backgrounds over here. Like Wakanda, I mean, how much did we see this towards the end of the game? Urban Core, the UN building. One of these always used to have a giant sentinel lurking in the background. London Bridge. Lost Lake. I mean, I definitely remember this one in a lot of dinosaur fights. Little Italy, I remember. Latverian Embassy. This, I remember this frequently towards the end. Purple St. Patrick's, Rikers Island, I mean, looking at these, you're probably like, my god, they look, the colors are different, but man, they look so familiar, and you're just gonna start getting flooded with memories of, there it is, there's Sentinel in the background. Not the Sentinel, Sentinels. I mean, this is amazing work that these people are doing. I mean, I know they're just recolors, but still, it's a lot. And, you know, here's some people talking about Namor and Atuma. Kirito is a little hard to understand sometimes. He asks questions that we kind of don't exactly, we're like, what? Here's some more backgrounds. There's Arcade. I mean, I definitely remember arcade maps when you had everybody trapped in Murder World. Alcatraz, I remember that. There's the Hellcarrier. Hell's Kitchen. This always reminded me of the Isle of the Dead from Chrono Cross. That's when things go to water. That's... I mean, they're doing a fantastic work. Yallarhorn from Heimdall with the Bifrost Bridge. Let's see, I'm trying to get up to some more heroes and villains over here. More Murder World. This, I mean, how much did we see this in PvP? But some of these I don't remember nearly as much. Like this one, Hellfire Club. I don't remember that one as much. The first couple things they were posting, I was like, I don't remember any of this. Like, Avengers Tower, Park Trees, I don't remember as much. Office Messy. This Jotunheim, I kind of don't remember some of these. So here's like Mysterio getting recolored. More backgrounds. More backgrounds, more backgrounds. Up. Sanctum Sanctorum. Alright, here we go with some more characters. There's Hood being reskinned. Flag Smasher. As a kid growing up, I thought Flag Smasher looked like Space Ghost, so that just made him cool in my book. Thor. This Thor is pretty good. Some of these, when people were recoloring them, they're not making the color differences striking enough for my taste. Like, I wanted more definitions, like colors that really contrast against each other. But a lot, like, this one I'm not that crazy about. The blue head with the green body. I'm not a big fan of that one. I just don't think the colors contrast enough. But then some of them, I think, are super sharp. Like this one for Wrecking Ball. It's a lot of reds and pinks, and his face just doesn't even stand out against his costume. It's too... But this black Doc Ock kind of looks like a stealth Doc Ock, which is cool. Leader. Living Monolith. Count Nefera. This one I like. Probably because his face is more human color, but the black, white, and the subtle green, like the forest green there, I think is cool. Ultron. Karn, who you might remember from the Spider ones. Venom. And then they've even been drawing some weapons. Like, it might take me too far up. There's Bob. Annihilation Wave. Shayna. Still looking as attractive as ever. There's Enchantress, who we all loved and hated at the same time. Unfortunately, I may have to go too far up to find some of the weapons people were drawing. I mean, I'm now way back into the middle of January, but some people were even designing some swords and everything like that. So, I mean, whether or not GLB gets the coding done and everything, at least the community has really come together with a lot of people that have been contributing. And between music and backgrounds and now enemies and villains and the heroes, the assets, I mean, they're just so ready to go. It's really now the ball's in GLB's court to complete the coding and download the art that we've given him. And in a lot of these channels are pinned posts that you can go and see, like, documents on the seasons, Season 3, Chapters 1 and 2, if you want to read the script and the plot and everything. So, I mean, this is a real work engine that's going on in this Discord, and everybody in here that's been doing work and assisting certainly take a bow, and you guys all deserve credit. You see fewer people there logged in, because a couple people have stated that they'd be back in a month or two. They were kind of busy, but I'd say maybe towards the end of February you would see a lot of people coming back that were pretty active. So there you go, folks. There's the update. Again, we're looking at hopefully a May 4th, May 8th, I think. I forget exactly when, but the beginning of May, release for the beta. Hopefully a pretty modular game where you can just drop in seasons and spec ops, and when an offline PvP thing is released. Don't ask me questions about PvP. I really don't know how it's going to work. In my mind, the way that I see it working is that GLB will say, okay, give me your characters that you want for PvP defense, and submit them to me. And probably what you would do is, like, somehow go into the game, set your defensive team with the characters, the agent gear, the ISOs and everything, and maybe there will be some way of exporting a file to him, like simply like a CS document, and emailing it to him. He'll probably take like 2 weeks, collect everybody's submitted defenses, and say, okay, here's PvP Season 1. See, even that doesn't work, because how are you going to rank? It could work if you were rankless. But then again, how would you honestly know if you were, like, if I'd been playing the re-release game from day one, and my agent is 110, and my characters are 10 or something, and I upload my file to him, and somebody downloads it, and they just started a week ago, so maybe their agent is like 25, and their characters are 5. That's not a fair PvP. So I don't know really. It's my brain shuts down when I think of what could happen for the PvP. Some people in other videos have said, well, maybe we can spin up a server somehow. I don't know. And that seems like a lot of work for it. I don't know. Maybe he can do a balancing thing where you submit your characters and then he has something that codes everybody up to the, you know, agent level 10, characters level 10. Maybe, like, he just balances everybody across the board, so that it's a matter of skill and team composition and gear picking rather than levels and ISOs and everything. So, you know, maybe he can somehow run a stat compact where everybody is considered max level or something. I've seen that before in a game. I just really don't remember what it was, but I remember seeing something about, like, the tagline was like, make PvP more about... Well, no, okay. I think I know what it was. It was in relation to some other card games against Hearthstone, saying that Hearthstone was too luck, and some of these other card games, they wanted to make it more about deck building than luck. I think that's what it was. I don't know. I think PvP will be one of the hardest things to implement in the game, because if you're not in contact with stats on a daily basis, like how did you do overnight, and how do you make it fair? Like, how do you have agents, you know, fighting people of their own level? Unless he does big brackets. Unless it's like a boxing weight class where, okay, everybody up to level 20 is in this container, and then 21 to 50 is in this container, and then 51 to... I don't know. I don't know. My brain can't wrap around it, so... That's what I've got for you guys. I hope you're happy with what you're hearing in this video. I hope the thing about the DMCA goes our way and helps us feel a little more comfortable that our work won't get shut down like Samus Returns. There was a fan-made version of Metroid 2 until Nintendo went stop, and then they released their own version of it. There was a fan-made next game in the Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger series, and Square went stop. People have spun up vanilla WoW servers, and when they get too big, Blizzard has gone stop. So we don't know. But hopefully the DMC change will be favorable and allow us to have this game in peace. Now, it's all on GLB at this point. We need GLB to resurface, give us an update, look over the stuff that the community has drawn up, and hopefully start incorporating it into his game. Take care, everybody. See you next time.